We were left with our select query, select and from query in the previous statement, and we're going to create the actual customer table in the database so that we can query off of it. So the command is very simple: create space table, the word table, and name of the table. And we're always going to start off with open and close parenthesis, and we just spread them out and define all the columns inside of it. So we have as I've repeated a few times, column names are full name, city, state, and phone. So we're going to simply type those. Full name, again, I'm putting square bracket because the word full and the word name, they are not connected. There's a space in between. Where we to put an underscore, then I wouldn't need it. I wouldn't need the square brackets. And I'm going to define it with varchar, variable character, because I don't know the exact length of the name. City will be 25. Let's increase the, or 20, and let's increase the full name to 50. What that means is if a name is 20 characters, SQL Server is going to store that much storage. If it's if it's 10 characters, it's going to store 10 characters. For phone number, although you could do int, but I prefer to do with that in a variable character, and that's something you can play around and learn later on. The query is complete as is, but just to have consistency with the rest of the tables in the database, we're going to type in the name of the database and the schema, which is .dbo. We can parse it, and it is it's working properly, it's successful, whatever. As soon as we hit execute and we go back, it should should show us the same message. If we go back to the table and hit refresh, we'll see our customer table right there. One thing I did forget, and that's why we're going to learn another function. We're going to delete this table or drop this table. There's a difference in them, but let's just wipe it out completely. So if you simply put drop in front of that statement, drop table, whatever table it is, it will completely wipe it out from the database. So if you hit refresh in the table or list of tables in the database, you will see that the customer table is gone. What I was referring to is identification column. This is something you would always come across in every type of database. Here's a syntax. We have a value and we have an incremental value. It starts off with int value. We're going to start off with, for example, a 1, and it will increment by 1. That means every time there's a record added in that table, it will increase by 1. So this is a syntax you could just copy off later on and learn and read about it later on from books online or whatever. And again, I'm just defining it that first value is 1, and every incremental record in that table will be added as 1. I'm also putting not null. It's saying that we have to, or this row has to populate. It cannot be empty. For example, full name. There is no not null. Null is basically having or giving the user the ability to leave that row empty. So these these columns could be empty because not null is not enforced. We'll parse it, we'll execute it, we'll go back to table list and we'll hit refresh, and we'll see our customer table and it should be right there. And now that we have our customer table in the database, we will run a very simple, very common, the most popular query that you will often use: select everything from customer table. But the word everything is not defined in SQL, so we'll use asterisk, commonly known as select star from customer. Select everything from customer. Because we did not insert any rows in the table, we simply created the table. There is nothing in the table. So we'll learn another function called insert. You already learned drop. You could take a note of that. So we'll insert data or values into the table that we created. So it's the syntax is here, and you can look it up online later on. Insert into customer table values. Again, parenthesis open and close. Inside, we'll use quotes, and I'm simply copying the stuff from my Excel sheet, and I'm going to paste it in the inside the parenthesis. Execute. One row affected. We're now going to run the select star from customer again, and it should show that row. Voila, magic. That's it. So our first row appears and the ID is 1 because that's the starting value. We're going to insert it again and again. I'm pasting the next row. Hit execute, 1 row affected, and so you got the idea. And I'm going to continue to copy paste the 4 rows and insert them into the table. And then we're going to run the query again, select star from customer. Now we should see all the 4 rows just like we see on the right side in the Excel sheet. Now we're going to go back to our initial query. I'm going to copy that, paste it in the bottom. I'm going to comment that out. And an error is thrown, and we're going to run the select star from customer again, and we should see all the columns. So I'll put the square bracket in, and then we'll run our query again, and we should only see John Smith, that row, because where clause we restricted it. But what if we want to see everything in that row, in the row of John Smith? Again, we just simply going to replace the full name with select star, where full name is John Smith. It should bring in the whole row. This is the beauty of SQL. You could be very precise, and you could be very general. Now, what if I say that I want to see all the records of people where they're, or those people that live in California? Or simply say state equals CA. Look on the right side in the Excel sheet. I should only see Jane Smith and Tony Stark because both of them, live in California. I'll hit execute, and those 2 rows are shown. Rather, retrieved. That's the correct term. Those 2 rows are retrieved. Now that we're done with the insert statement, we're going to go create temp tables. Temp tables are temporary tables that are valid for a single session. We're simply going to copy the code for create table, an actual table. I'm going to paste it. You will see the only difference is we're going to have to put a number sign, a pound sign in front of the table name, but we don't have to specify the database or any of that stuff. And I'm going to change that to customer 2. Simply put a number sign in front of it and create table, and then execute the command. Parsing is okay. Execute. It's done. Completed successfully. If I now do select star from, again, select star from customer 2, but make sure to put that number sign. Number customer 2. It should bring in what? An empty table, because there's nothing in there. Exactly, just like we had in the beginning with the actual customer table. So if we were to insert data into it, just like we inserted data in the customer table, we'd see exactly similar result. Again, it's only good for this session. If we create another new query right here, just like a blank query, and if we say select star from number customer 2, that number table or that temp table does not exist in this secondary query, secondary session, so it cannot identify it, cannot see it. So we'll close this session just to show you that it will only work in this session, in this window. Or if you're running a report, a crystal report or whatever, it will only work in that one-time run. And it's here. Now we're going to insert data into that table. We're just going to say number customer 2. Successful. We're going to run select star from customer 2. The data is here. So it behaves very similarly. It's even faster. Temp tables are used for shorter data, shorter sets of data. Maybe like 100,000 rows or something, Ask your local database administrators or DBAs for more precise and safer numbers to work with in your queries. And now let's see how the drop function works. Drop command works with temp table. It's exactly the same way. Just put that word drop table in front of that temp table, and it should be gone. Execute, completed. Select star from, and it's not there anymore. Now we're going to comment this code out, and we're going to go on to the next type of table, which is creating table variables. It starts off with a declare syntax and followed by @ sign, and then the name of the table, let's call it customer3, followed by the word table, and then we have our open and close parenthesis. We're then simply going to copy and paste the column definitions from our previous tables. If you look at the definition or the syntax of the actual table, you see create and then the word table and then the name of the actual table. As opposed to table variable, we have declare, name of the table, and the word table. So we'll parse this, parse it, parsing is okay, then execute it, execution is okay. We'll select everything, select star from this table variable, and let's see the result. It doesn't work. It says must declare the table variable. That means it's not declared, but we just executed it. So it's very strange that it's not working. And we hit execute again, and it says that the command is successfully completed. So that's even more strange. We're going to go back to our create table for our temp table. We're going to hit execute. It says that name already exists, so we cannot execute it twice. We're going to drop the table, so it's gone, and we're going to revert it back and leave it the way it was. We're back to our declare statement, but here we executed several times, and every time it says it's successful. Now let's select it. It's not working. We select the whole thing. Let's select the upper portion, the actual declare function, and the select statement together, and then execute. Let's see what happens now. Magic again, which means this table variable is active or live only for that single run, that single one time pass. If I execute the select statement, it doesn't work. So I hope you see the difference. I'm gonna run the command again, the query again, show you again. So we're selecting the select statement and the declare syntax, declare function. We hit execute, we see the blank table. I'm gonna bring in the insert statement and try to insert values into this table variable. Again, if I just want to insert it by itself into the table as an independent query, it's not going to work because it doesn't recognize that table variable. So we have to select the table variable definition and execute it. Then it says on row is affected. But what if I do select star from that table? It's not going to bring anything. So I'm going to have to select everything, highlight everything, and execute all together. Then I see that row. Now I should be very confident regarding how table variables work. The next topic that we're going to cover is creating variables by itself. Variables are placeholders, you can call them, or parameters. It starts off with declare syntax, declare function, and then @ sign, name of the variable, and the type of it, and length of it, stuff like that. We can declare it, we can execute it. That command by itself independently works. Just like table variables, regular variables also are good for single pass. Let's go back to our original table, select star from customer. We're gonna see all the result for rows. I'm gonna paste that, copy paste that query at the bottom of the declare function. Every time there's a declare, that's another thing to remember. Once you declare a function, declare it variable, you should set it. They go hand to hand. So in our original query, we had select star from customer, where state equals California. So we're going to replace it. We're going to set this variable to New York or California or something, and then use that in the where clause. Declare and execute by itself, it works. The variables, they parse and they work, although they're not being used. So whereas we have state equals California, we're going to have state equals that name of that variable. We could have left it as @city, but just for convenience, we'll change the name from state to state over here too. And if we run this query, it doesn't work. So now we have to include that, the whole declare function, and the select statement. Now it works. So now you see, if we change it to California, it should show us those 2 rows. And that's how single pass table variables work in SQL. We're going to create view in the next video.